Hello and welcome to So Much Game for a little bit of Hex and Counter warfare on a Sunday night. We had some technical issues and Nye is with me in still image and also spirit voice.
Yep, no, I am. I'm excited to be here though, so that's...
Yeah, well, that's a good start then. That's all I need. We'll run through the actual rules first a bit so that everyone has an idea of what we're playing and how it gets played. That's really fairly simple Hex and Counter war game, so that shouldn't take too long. I think it's 6 or 7 pages of rules, which if you've ever played Hex and Counter war games is not much at all. And then I will swap us over to the actual game screen where you'll be able to follow Nye beating the crap out of me as he did last time in World
I got a very lucky roll though, because I had like 3 uncontested
3 activations in a row, like oh dear.
I have a feeling I'm not going to be this lucky, especially since I'm playing the guys that lost this battle quite badly as well.
Yeah, but I think it's a fairly doable scenario that I've chosen for the Germans, because we're playing scenario 2, which is breaching the belt or something like that. But basically it's 5 Tiger platoons versus a whole heap of T-34 platoons, but they're T-34 76s, so you know they might be okay, but they'll have to.
They might not. It depends.
Yeah,
how good the
they might also turn into tin cans.
So. Well, what they don't know is the soldiers that are marching forward, or the tanks driving forward, they turn back, and the still image you see is the commander in the cupola. Like, I'm actually doing it in real life. Like, hey, it's like, oh, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose so badly.
Come on, people, follow me. Yeah. No. So yes, before we get started, I suppose I should remember, as usual, to tell people to like and subscribe and follow on the Twitches and YouTubes of the world, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
And then, without further ado, I think we'll get started. We rolled beforehand, so Nye is playing the Germans and I'm playing the plucky Soviet defenders.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
That's one way of referring to
it. I'll run through the rules quickly first. I don't know, Nye, if you got a chance to read it at all. Or...
I'm assuming this is a similar game to War of 85 in terms of like how
it's a fair bit simpler, in fact. So in that regard, it's pretty much like basically. Or maybe hold up the chart.
Yes.
It's split up into a fairly simple sequence of... But like the most important ones are fire phase, movement phase, and close assault phase. So, that's these 3 in the middle. Because like determined initiative is just us both rolling a dice and whoever's highest gets the initiative.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a phase, but it doesn't necessarily really warrant an entire line dedicated to it. But we'll run through things, and obviously, if you've got the PDF open now, you can follow along. Otherwise, you won't be able to see it because I can see it on Twitch. But obviously,
no, it's okay. I'm sorted in that respect.
So the general concept is about the counters are vehicle or infantry platoons representing 2 to 5 vehicles or 40 to 60 men. So yeah, platoons on both cases, and each hex is about 150 meters. It uses 10-sided dice, which is fairly common for Hex and Counter war games anyway. And if you have a look at the game pieces next to me, the examples, so there's leg units, there's armored units. You can tell infantry units, well, soft units from hard units, because soft units have the NATO symbol behind them. So on the example there, it's an infantry unit with the typical NATO infantry unit sign cross, which comes from the Napoleonic uniform cross.
Oh, really? Oh, shit,
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
know
why
that.
cavalry have a slash, because they had a single. Yeah.
Okay.
They had to come up with some method of like what is an infantry unit.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Obviously, as you go on in time and rocket infantry and things like, well, rocket units and stuff like that were invented, it became a bit more complicated, and they had to come up with,
Of course,
symbols that would vaguely give you the idea of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically every unit has an armor piercing value. That's sort of the top left hand side value. The bottom left hand side is their high explosive firepower, which is just like, for instance, in the case of infantry, it's just rifle power and things like that. It's their ability to take on other soft units. The middle value is movement, so the amount of hexes they can move in clear terrain, because obviously the movement is also altered again based on the terrain they're moving through. And then the right hand value is the right bottom hand value is their close combat ability, which, as you can see on the examples, is higher for an infantry platoon than it is for a standard tank platoon. And then the top right hand side is their armor value. So on soft units it's a 0, on armored units it has an armor value. And am I missing one? No, I'm not missing one, I don't think. Right. 2 units can stack in a hex. That's important, so remember that. And yeah, I'll read out the bit about eligible units, because that is also important to how the game plays.
Okay.
It's all fairly simple once you start playing it, but
Yeah.
yeah. An eligible unit is any unit that is neither disrupted nor marked with any other status marker, such as fired or moved. So an eligible unit is basically the things you can use to do something. For instance, fire in the fire phase, move in the movement phase. On the condition that they're not disrupted or haven't done anything else in a previous phase.
Yeah, you can't like run and gun with a tank or.
Well,
or
you can with a tank, because then that gets modified based on the movement part of your counter.
Right.
Or armored units that can move and fire. There's a little explosion marker around their movement rating, which basically means you can move up to half your movement rating and still fire. Or fire first, move up to half your movement rating, or move a bit, fire, and then move the rest of that half a movement rating.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they're fairly open on that bit. Sorry, I just need a second. Whatever. Sorry. And then the general outline. So the game's split up into those phases that I mentioned before. The first one's determine initiative, which is just us both rolling a straight D10. and the highest player gets the initiative.
Okie doke.
Then you draw action cards, which will also be mentioned in the scenario, how many you draw each turn and how many you start with. That's the sort of thing you can use for artillery bombardments, air support, things like that, depending on what the card says, obviously. Rally phase, you can attempt to rally your disrupted units by rolling a d10 for each of them, and then based on unit morale, which is generally 5 for the Germans and 3 for the Soviets, if you roll above under that, then you rally. After that's fire phase, movement phase, close assault phase. Housekeeping is just removing all the markers that aren't applicable for the next turn. Then aid and focus phase is another important one, because then you'll be able to place, flip, or move your aid and focus markers, which are like your personal command in basically the way you can directly influence parts of the battlefield, aside from obviously moving and shooting. And then you advance the turn marker. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Alright,
Let me see, what do we really need to know? Firing has to happen by an eligible unit. You have to have line of sight, which is basically if you're on ground level, there can't be blocking terrain between you. And if you're on a level 1 hill or a level 2 hill, because there's only 2 types of hills in this, a enemy unit that you're trying to target can't be directly behind an equal level, because then they're sort of in the shadow of
that makes sense.
So then you can't see them because they're hidden behind terrain. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything specific that let me know if there's anything you really need to know beforehand or want to know.
No, I don't think so. I remember when we played 85, this is just now me interested in this, because obviously 85 is like an alt history. What if the NATO and the Eastern Bloc, but it's not what it's called, it has actual name, Warsaw Pact, that's it. Because obviously by then a lot of infantry are motorized, you were saying that like the combat is a lot more fluid, in the sense that units are like zipping across, well, relatively speaking. Whereas I was like, I'm more interested in World War II history, and you were like, I mean, that's fun. It is a bit slower though, obviously, because they don't have motorization. It's not as prevalent.
In this case, it won't. Well, not for this scenario, it won't be, because there isn't any infantry. So.
Exactly, they're all tanks. I know. It's an interesting thing.
Naffed that up again.
No,
I should have just picked one with a lot of infantry.
Punish me, like, you won last time, let's see you win now.
Well, if you see it, like the counters that you can see to the left of me on Twitch, or the right of me, depending on whether I'm reversed, I don't know. Infantry have a general movement rate on foot of 2 hexes, whereas tanks have a movement rate of up to 6 for like a Panzer III, that sort of thing. So standard kind of tank rate movement rating will be 6, and slower tanks will probably be 4. Which
4.
Obviously, 2 hexes a turn maximum movement without being able to fire or anything is quite slow slogging.
But I do have 12 for my armor for these tigers, so.
Well, that's because you get
Try and take me out now, T34. Oh God, there's tons of them.
Precisely. It's just I don't know. We'll just swarm you and keep firing until.
What do you mean? We spent weeks making this one beautiful, never gonna be like worn out Tiger, and in that time you made hundreds of T-34s. What?
Well, see, this already brings me to our first bit of let's talk about World War II history in general. Like the problem with the Tiger in that case is you didn't just need that amount of time to build a Tiger, you also had to build a second Tiger to use as spare parts for the first one.
Well,
just to get it anywhere anyway.
There was a great thing brought up where I think it was in a talk, but it was in a book, because that's how a lot of these history talks you watch are. They talk about the fact that like a lot of I don't know if it was specifically Tigers, but like German tanks, they had this habit of like every iteration adding just a small tweak to it. So you're like talking about every sixth tank, they've changed something from the previous 5. And it's like, it's an interesting.
That's definitely like the case with the Stug, because you have a range and they just put a letter behind it up to like Stug Fs and things like that. And then obviously it's not doesn't require the same maintenance parts.
But that's where the problem lies.
The other versions, and then you're like, here's a Stug 3. Hello,
that's what I'm saying.
Josh Puka, thank you for joining us.
But that's
At
what
the
I'm
moment,
saying,
we're running through the rules and also just generally talking.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you look at things like what other countries do with their tanks, they try to simplify them so that they could just exchange parts and stuff. Whereas with like a lot of the German tanks, it's like, oh god, okay, who has this sprocket? It's like, I don't know, you've got a different model.
We talked about that before a little bit. That whole idea, like, in my opinion, a Sherman and a T-34 and even a Panzer IV World War winning tanks, but like Tigers and things like that with their extra maintenance requirements just aren't, because you can't keep up the level of industrial production.
Well, I mean,
providing supplies.
But it was like when you get into the head logic of it, not that you want to get in the logic of a Nazi, but when you think about what they're trying to do, because effectively what the Tiger is, it's a quality versus quantity. Because at that point they're like, no, we cannot make enough tanks to outbeat them. But if we make tanks that are better than their tanks, maybe that'll even it out. And it's like, I don't know about the logic of that, but
I mean, the problem is then they also made overly complicated quality tanks. And that's always tanks. A problem.
Retirement tanks. Whereas like a T-34 is like, it will go as far as it needs to, and then it's fucked. But that's fine, because we've used it. It's like a junker. It's like we've used it for what we needed it. Who gives a shit if it breaks down? We'll just replace it or put new parts in. That Tiger's basically. Like, it will last for an eternity kind of thing.
They also stripped the T-34s afterwards for a few larder parts, but there you go. So the occasional larder has a has a few rolled metal pieces from a T-34, well, the old ones anyway. And actually they kept them right the way through the Cold War as well, because the Soviet Union had this idea of you had Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D waves of tanks based on how the war was going, pretty much. So they had all these T-34s still in stock, which were like the absolute last reserves they'd bring up, but based on the idea that if there was a world war, most likely all the decent tanks would be blown up within days, and it would require too much time to, you wouldn't be able to replace them quickly enough within the time frame of
And a lot.
a Third World War because everything would be happening so much quicker.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Sorry, do we need to finish the rules? Because as I
Yeah, we
said,
probably should because
let's finish the rules and then
Josh is listening along and
yes,
and
sorry, Josh.
providing nice comments, but you know he might not want to listen to us drivel on about things. Oh, there you go. Well, if you're enjoying the chat, we'll probably keep doing this throughout anyway.
Yeah.
We have lots of tidbits and facts that
Yep.
may or may not be useless, but we will probably mention them. So for firing, one of the things that's going to be very important in this that I'll probably read out for you, Nye, is and for people following, to attack armored fighting vehicles, locate the rightmost column on the fire results table, which I have, but it's also available in the Vassal program that we're going to be using to run this in a minute when we swap over to the actual game overlay. The fire result table that is equal to or less than the attacking unit's armor piercing value minus the highest armor rating. So in that case it would be whatever the top left is on your Tigers.
12? That's my armor
versus probably like 3 or 4 for the T-34s. So, and then using that, you get a column indication, and then that's modified by certain aspects like flanking fire, moving fire.
Yeah.
Multiple attacking units gives it 2-column shift, and you apply the positive shifts before the negative shifts, end up with a column. You roll on that, and then that's the amount of potential hits that the defender has to save with a morale save, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sounds difficult once we get there.
Of course, yeah. And I imagine you'll be reminded.
The first one might take a little while as we talk through it, and then after that probably pick it up quite quick. It's pretty much similar to what we did in World at War 85. Slightly simpler.
I remember parts. I'm sure I'll be helpful to people following along, like, how does this work? How does this work? Yes.
And then for the results, basically 1 hit on a unit is disrupted, then the second hit you flip it, and the third hit is destroyed.
Yeah.
That's that simple. They don't really make any big differences between any of that in this game because it is kept as simple as possible. You have the ability to perform opportunity fire if you have an eligible unit during the opponent's movement phase. When they come into line of sight, you can potentially fire at them. If you have a opportunity fire action card, or if in general if it's an eligible unit. So that just runs through the same sort of firing mechanism as before, but out of turn basically.
Okay, yeah.
And then moving fire, that's going to be the important one for you. You can spend up to half your movement points and still fire. So what colour's the explosion around the Tiger? I think it's orange, isn't it?
4, it's orange, yeah.
Yeah.
4 is the number, orange.
So that means you get 1 column shift left, which is basically a 1 negative shift. If it was blue, you'd get 2 negative shifts. That's like me.
That's
my
what you
T-34s have got blue. Yeah. But you can move up to half your movement rating in the movement phase, and then still fire. You can fire beforehand, you can fire during your movement, or you can fire after your movement. But you have to basically, if you fire beforehand, you have to say, I'm going to move.
Yeah.
So that it's clear. Then there's flanking fire rules, which is pretty much if a unit fires and hits, I think, does it have to hit? I'm not sure it does actually have to hit. If a unit fires at an enemy unit and then one of your other units fires at an enemy unit from pretty much the opposite side, then that unit counts as flanked, and that gives a bonus as well. Multiple attacking units. So if you stack 2 units, which is the maximum stacking in a hex, and then fire at an opponent, you get a 2-column shift. It's 2 column shifts, yeah. 2 column shifts to the right, so a 2 positive modifier rather than 2 shots. So the second unit provides a positive modifier rather than you actually just firing 2 shots.
Okay.
What you could potentially do though is fire in different places.
True.
But if you combine them to fire at a unit in a hex, then you get a modifier rather than. But the modifiers, well, obviously the further to the right your fire result table column is, the higher amount of potential hits you create.
Okay. Yeah.
So you just sort of have to, especially for you with a limited number of tigers, you'll have to weigh whether you want more shots or you want your shots that you have to be more effective. So movement, yeah, is just moving in terrain according to the terrain chart, which is on the back here, but is also in Vassal, and we'll run through that as it comes up. Transporting and stuff won't really be necessary for us, I don't think. You can always, if you have an eligible unit, it can always move up to 1 hex, so into the adjacent hex, by using all its movement unless it's prohibited hex. So that's just basically a guarantee that no matter what happens, you will be able to move at least 1 hex.
Yeah.
And then zone of control is common in almost all war games anyway. Your units provide a zone of control to the 6 hexes. Is it 6? Probably. The 6 hexes around them. And what that does is it increases the movement point cost to move into one of those hexes that is in zone of control by 1.
Okay.
So basically it just makes it more difficult to move into close assault range.
Yeah.
The idea of that in Hex and Counter war games is you always, it seems complicated, but it won't be once we start playing it. But the idea of zone of control in wargaming is just the idea that obviously any military formation has some form of screening unit ahead of them or scouting,
of course,
to guarantee control over an area. Line of sights, pretty much as I said, you can't shoot through blocking terrain, which you can see on the terrain chart as well. Things like cities are blocking terrain, hills are blocking terrain if you're on ground level and trying to shoot behind a hill, but that sort of thing, it's all fairly obvious. If you're going down the sideline of the hex, if your drawing of line of sight goes down the sideline of the hex along a piece of blocking terrain, that's okay, because the other side's open so you can see along it. But if there's 2 pieces of blocking terrain and you're going down the line in the middle, obviously it's blocked because you're in between 2 blocking terrain. It's very fun explaining this to a really happy looking picture of Nye who doesn't move
To battle, men! Huzzah!
Just you're just like, oh yes, let's get at it.
We're gonna die.
Yeah, close assault is pretty similar to firing, except you use the close assault table, and both sides get to hit each other.
Okay.
So you'll create a ratio of odds. So if your close assault is 8, for instance, and the unit you're attacking, their close assault is, I think it's on, is like 4, for instance, then you'd have a 2-to-1 ratio of attack. So that'd be on the 2-to-1 column of the close combat attacks, which is also on this handy dandy chart.
There's always a chart.
Yeah, that's the Hex and Counter wargaming. There's always a chart, and they're very kind for supplying lots of charts because it's the easiest way to remember things, to be honest. Other than that, fire support, you have artillery, which you can play using those cards I mentioned before. And the only thing with artillery is unless you score a critical hit, it can't actually do more than disrupt armored vehicles. Okay. So if you roll a 0 or a 1 on your to hit attack with your artillery, it will also do one, it will flip 1 unit, basically. But other than that, if you don't roll a 0 and a 1, the most it'll do is disrupt units. You still get the same amount of potential hits, but on armored fighting vehicles, they absorb everything that isn't disrupt, basically.
Okay.
And then minefields will be important for me. I can basically deploy them, and it counts as I think it's a strength 4 attack. When a unit enters a minefield, hex, or a minefield is placed in a unit hex, it's immediately attacked with an armor piercing or high explosive firepower of 6, or any other form of attacks. So I'm going to have, as I'm playing the Soviets, a number of minefield counters that I can place at any point.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah, but they're
Soviet
also
minefield.
they've basically done it in a way like you can place it at any point during your turn, because obviously otherwise if I have to predetermine where they are, you just drive around them and they'd be entirely useless. But I'll go to the scenario quickly. I don't have scenario, it's not on the PDF, but anyway, we're playing scenario 2, which is breach the belt, but I will swap us over to the bit everyone's been waiting for now, which is the actual game itself. So we need to set up first, but I will just chuck up, I think it's in here. You won't be able to see it on Twitch, but we're playing scenario 2, breach of the first defensive belt. Nye, if you want to look at the scenario and things like that and the terrain charts, if you click on charts and tables in Vassal.
Okay.
Here, where my mouse is
right,
for the people watching at home, then you get the whole
shebang. Yeah.
So for our viewer, which is fun because don't often get viewers, what it says is breach of the first defensive belt, scenario 2, July the 5th, 1943 at 5:30, General Oberst Walter Model, commander of the German 9th Army, pushes forwards from the line of demarcation, supported by artillery and the Luftwaffe. After clearing a pathway through the minefields, the 505th Heavy Tank Battalion is ordered forwards and encountered a Soviet armoured force. So Nye's going to be the 505th Armoured Battalion, Heavy Tank Battalion, and I am the Soviet armoured force that will unfortunately be trying to block them. So Nye in this scenario has 5 Tiger 1 platoons that he can set up anywhere between, let's have a look, sorry. Oh, they've changed this from the book, because in my book, which I have here, it says that the Germans set up first, but here on this map it says that the Soviets set up first.
It also says that, just reading my notes, it says, well, not notes, the charts and maps, it says Germans have initiative on turn 1.
Yep, you do indeed.
Okay. Interesting.
I think we'll go with what it says here, because that's probably an errata then. So the Soviets set up first. So I have Group 1, which is this forward group here that you can see on the map.
Yep.
I'll select it so that Nye can also see it. They are 7 T-34 76s, and they set up anywhere between columns J and S. So let's have a look. Oh well, it's sort of already here. Is it J and S? This area basically I can set up anywhere here. E and S, I think. Yeah. But and then Group 2, that's actually quite nice. It's marked out on the map. Group 2 will set up anywhere between this part of the map, which is between E and I. I think, yeah, J and S. This is S, that's J. But yeah, basically Group 1 has to set up somewhere between S and R columns, and Group 2 has to set up somewhere between E and I columns. So I'm... Oh, sorry, I didn't yeah, I see the problem. There you go. You can see the map now. There's me going on about the map, and no one could see it on Twitch.
Oh no.
Oh dear. But it's here now.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So I'll set up my 7 units here somewhere first, and then I also have these, which for some reason I can't select. Those. Not good.
Are you moving the units on your end? Are you moving the counters?
Oh, I have.
You changed.
Yeah, I haven't moved any of the units yet.
Oh, so. Okay, that's fine. I was just checking my internet. It's all right. Okay, never mind.
No. I was trying to see if I could select these mine counters, but apparently I can't. I think they've accidentally actually just put that onto the.
Oof! Yeah, I'm not driving near there.
Yeah, it is nice because unlike the actual maps, which basically there's a few different map sections on the physical game, which I have. It doesn't say all these bits about mines and stuff because it's used for all kinds of different scenarios set up differently. You just put one map above another in a different way according to the scenario you're playing. But this one in Vassal is very nice because it actually says at the top mines, so you know the area that the mines can be deployed in, and then it shows Group 1 and Group 2 where they're meant to deploy, and also the German deployment zone, so convenient. Right, I should really stop waffling and start setting up my units, shouldn't I? the German objective in this, by the way, is to exit as many of the tigers off of this side of the map as possible. So off of map B, the opposite side. Basically, it's the tigers pushing through the defensive belt.
Yes.
And moving behind it. So for each tiger that exits the map, Nye gets 2 victory points, and for each one that I destroy, I get, well, Nye basically gets -1 victory point because I don't get any victory points.
Well,
but
you're
depending
you're
on the
protecting...
result at the end, I will win or Nye will win, or it will be
you're protecting the motherland.
Yeah,
that's your reward.
There you go.
Yeah, for the Rodina.
Yay. Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to move 2 to there. And let's see.
So while you're setting up,
yes,
we did
free
talk
to
about.
I haven't actually. I haven't
explained.
talked about Operation Citadel.
Yeah, or what the Battle of
Kursk
the
Battle of Kursk at all. So I'll let
Oh, well, I did make some notes.
There you go.
I don't know how good
I'm afraid that Josh Puka is on my side, as he's just said, "Long live the motherland." Sorry, Nye.
Well, to be fair, Nye the player is also on your side.
Nye the human being is not on the side of the Nazis.
The Wehrmacht to win this, but I will try.
Yeah, well. We rolled randomly because neither of us were really all that bothered.
Psyched. Well, yeah, I mean...
Well, it was just, mainly like, someone has to...
Yeah, someone's got to
not blocking terrain. I'm going to... I've moved those.
Operation Citadel, or that's German, so I can't say it, but Citadel. It's interesting. Yeah. We were just talking before we came on about, because this is like the myth that if they won Kursk, or if they of Operation Citadel was a success, that would have turned the war around. And we were just saying like, no. And I was thinking it's probably the post dissonance, is that the word? Or the false equivalency of, because the Soviets had the initiative for the remainder of the war on the Eastern Front, it's that, well, if the Germans had won Kursk, they would have kept the initiative. And it's like, not really. I mean, we were talking about, it's like they'd probably get a couple extra months.
Well, the thing is as well, that's also like one of the big myths of like, how the Germans wiped out the Soviet army during Operation Barbarossa at the start of the war. Well, at the start of the Eastern Front of the war. That's one of those things, because it was typical Soviet doctrine at the time that if there was a potential conflict, they always had to go on the attack straight away. So all of their units weren't set up defensively, they were actually set up to attack off of the bat, but obviously befell some surprise. But the main important part is that up until the Battle of Moscow, the Germans actually had more troops on the front line than the Soviets at all times. The Battle of Moscow was the first time the Soviets had more frontline troops in the battle than the Germans, and that's also one of the turning points as well. So a lot of it was a question of manpower as well.
It's one of these things I often find in history. It's difficult to talk about like turning points, and that's not to disagree with you, because I think the Battle of Moscow was an important aspect of the war and in history. But I think a lot of people get hung up when it's like, this was the turning point. It's like, we know it is, or we know it's significant because we're looking at this with our future eyes. But at the time, I think a common thing is like when people say about throwing in the towel for the Germans, it's like, well, first off, because they knew if they threw in the towel, it would be very bad for that particular regime. That the Nazis were not just going to be like, oh, we can surrender. Oh boy. Oh, they're not happy with us. And also it's the fact that, like, it's difficult to see these things on the ground. Although, admittedly, 1943, there are quite a few that probably see the writing on the wall. It's like, oh boy, yeah, I don't think we're going to win this. But yes, so for context, if anyone is not aware, the kind of setup to the Battle of Kursk is quite intrinsically linked to one of the biggest defeats that the Germans suffered, which is the Battle of Stalingrad.
Yeah.
And basically, once Stalingrad fell and the Soviets retook it, they enacted Operation Little Saturn, which, side note, is a lot more adorable than as sweeping as it is. I just love the idea. Yes, Operation Little Saturn. Oh, it's so adorable. Yes, we take back all of the not Baltic, Balkans. Yeah. So they basically very quickly pushed back the German forces and, of course, the Axis miners such as Romania and Hungary and Italy, and were very quickly regaining a lot of ground. And part of an interesting that I saw was that a lot of people think that part of the reason why Kursk was pushed, at least initially, was to save face, because obviously for the miners, they're sitting there going, they're getting really close, and the Germans don't seem to be winning anymore. Oh boy, we might call it quits here. We might just surrender. Especially
like Hungary and Romania that were, which were both then later invaded. It was like, well, once it starts going back the other way, gets to their doorstep quite quickly.
Exactly. And I think a big thing as well is, one of the things that Kursk is good for showing is, it, to me at least, it's a very good point. I was watching a talk where, and I forgot the historian's name. I should have wrote it down. They talk about the fact that 1943 is a weird point. Well, not weird, but it's kind of the point where both sides are kind of aware of what the situation is, are also kind of weary at the same time. So like the Allies are like, oh yeah, no, I think we've got this in the back. Like, I think if we keep at, but the problem that they're seeing is like, oh Jesus, like this is going to take a lot longer than we think it is. Like, so they, at this point, interesting note, Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily, happened on the same time that Kursk started. That was a big influence. The Germans had to divert troops that were training in France to just quickly shore that up. And the assault was called off. I wouldn't say prematurely, because at that point it was kind of showing that it was not working. But they did call it off prematurely for what the planning had shown, to try and move troops to cover Italy, because obviously
that is a lot of what you see with like units like the 2nd SS Panzer division that spent them basically from that point, and definitely after the invasion of Normandy, being sent back and forth from the Eastern Front to the Western Front and then back again. And, you know, that's a lot of wasted time, material and manpower while they're moving about. It wasn't going to change anything in the long run, but...
Which probably, you know, if there is anyone watching...
Not...
if you do watch...
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. If you do watch this and you're wondering what, like, Lewis's and I's opinion is on, like, the whole alt history, could the Nazis have won? We are very much in the firm camp of no, like, you literally have to make them not Nazis for them to win. The classic one being, they are always going to go to war with the Soviets. You can rewrite all the technical, the tanks, the logistics, you can change all that. Yeah. But the minute they start trying to fight the Soviets with the methods they use,
that's what, like, that's also one of those thingies. What's his name? Is it David Glantz? Glantz, anyway, is his last name, and he does a lot of very good books on, because I got into his stuff mainly actually through his observations on Soviet deep battle and stuff like that, because I really enjoy reading doctrine and strategic warfare methods because I'm a weirdo. But he was one of the first people who also, like, when the Soviet archives freed up after the Cold War, who dove into it and translated the Russian and that sort of stuff to get better ideas of how things went down from their side. But he also in his books throws in a lot of actual statistical data, like numbers, and one of the important things is on paper they had all of these panzer divisions still up to the point of Stalingrad and stuff like that, but by the time they'd got there, in a lot of cases they were down to 20 Panzer IIIs. Where they started off with an entire division's worth of Panzer IVs, then some supporting Tigers, and then Panzer IIIs in reserve, but they ended up losing so much and cannibalizing so much that they ended up with what was on paper a Panzer division being in effect actually a mechanized or an infantry division.
Well, it's a thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration. We keep talking about Barbarossa, and we're supposed to be talking about Kursk.
But
Barbarossa,
coming back.
At the start of Barbarossa, a lot of people talk about the tanks, and it's like, I think over, if not half of the tanks, all of them were considered outdated. Like they were still using like Panzer IIs and stuff to have them because they needed them. And they did get phased out quickly, but that's not really the point. It's like, if you're starting what is, for the time, and I believe still is, one of the biggest invasions in human history, and it's like, we're using the old shit. We're using the outdated stuff. Because that's what we got.
That is what they had.
I know.
Essentially, that was a big thing there anyway, like putting on paper that something was a Panzer IV division. But in reality, to be honest, that still happens today with military units. On paper, they're assigned a certain amount of equipment, but in reality it probably is more likely a mix of that, the actual top end frontline equipment that they want to have, but also what realistically they can get their hands, or that they still have left over, because you just can't give everyone everything, because industrially and monetarily and supply wise it's impossible.
Should I set up my tiger?
You may set up. Sorry, I've roughly finished my setup, which isn't the great set. If you double click on it, you can select single tanks. And obviously because you're moving them about, it automatically puts a move token on it. But on the top right hand, the furthest button at the thingy, the furthest top button on the top bit at the furthest right hand button on the top bit is unmove, and if you click on that, all the move tokens go away.
Oh, okay. It's right hand. Oh, I see unmove. Okay, that's fine. Right. I'll move him. We'll keep talking though as I kind of try and sort out where I'm going to
sure.
So my guys are just...
your choice here, your big impact choice, because like in my case I have to stack them in twos because otherwise they're not going to be sufficiently effective. But your choice is going to be, are you going to stack them and then potentially lose attacks but have your attacks be stronger, or are you going to have 5 units spread out?
Should I go historically accurate and just go, no, the Tigers will be fine on their own. No, it's fine, just go.
I mean, it could quite well work. The other advantage in that is not just your attacks, but obviously defensive wise. I think you have a grey line where you can move them up to.
So it's here, is it?
Yeah, Yeah,
like back here. Oh wow, oh Jesus, I'm far back. Okay.
Yeah, you start off
oh
far back, but you'll move forward. You've got 14 turns. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I think we'll have. I think we'll.
Yeah. Now, the other advantage of stacking units is obviously if you take hits, it's distributed across both units rather than like one unit having to absorb all potential hits. So if you roll badly, you could potentially have 2 disrupted units and maybe one flipped one, rather than, for instance, if you just took 3 straight hits and rolled badly, that would be a destroyed unit.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. Oh, what my terrain is like. This is just regular, isn't it? This is just open. This kind of greyish, browny colour.
The dark browny colour. Oh, the light browny colour is a hill. That's a level 1 hill, so it's a smallish hill. The speckly green bit in front of that is rolling hills. The dark.
I'm also on a road.
Brown bit. Yeah. So obviously the road count. Yeah, that basically means that you just use 1. As long as you're following the road, you use 1 movement point per hex, because you ignore the terrain.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm set up then. I've got 2 stacks, center and south, and then I've got and then I have 1 on his own up here. But yes, I think I will quickly finish up my history lesson.
Yeah.
And then we'll start. Sorry, were you wanting to start? Because we can just start and I can just talk.
No. Well, what I was going to say is what you can also do now is go to the deck button at the top. Yeah, unmove. Yep. Go to the deck button at the top.
Yep.
And then you're allowed to select 3 cards that you want to start with. Yeah, I just get a random card, which I've taken. I get 1 card. You can select 3 cards.
Do I have? Like, how big is this deck?
You can use up to 2 cards a turn, by the way, and you get 1 card per turn. Hi, Evil Gilmore. Thank you for joining us as well. We're just about to start. So.
These decks are tiny.
We'll definitely add more history.
Oh my god, I can't even read them.
You can scroll in, zoom in. I think there's a.
Yeah, but I'm not able to move.
A zoom button.
Wait, let me.
At the top.
Oh, I've got to like increase the size of the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to throw all of those things up, like the cards and stuff in the overlay. But you'll see them once they're. You can if you want. You'll see them once they're played onto the map. So.
I can pick specific ones. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, then. You get to pick 3 cards, specific cards that you want.
Okay.
Which is fairly painful for me.
Oh, there we go. So we've got conduct and airstrike. I like that.
You don't have to tell me what they are. It can be a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are certain cards that counteract other ones.
Historical accuracy, though, because the Soviets knew a lot about German intelligence.
There you go. Yeah, we've already built 3 defensive builds. Oh no, they're definitely gonna attack us. Oh right, okay, we'll start working on that then. Yeah.
That's the interesting part, though, because they were thinking of just letting them have it. Like, a lot of people talk about the stuff involving the British and telling them and stuff, but they could see the Germans weren't very good at like disguising what their intentions were, but also more importantly, they saw the salient on the map.
Yeah, well, that's
but they saw the salient. They're like, of course they're good. Yeah. And it was only, it was Zhukov that said, no, let's build it up. And then it was the British intelligence and them saying, oh, by the way, they're going to take a bit of time because they're moving their tanks up, which is obviously the infamous one that everyone gives shit for, which is like, they should have just attacked immediately. and that
yeah,
was
to be honest, that wouldn't have been a better result for them.
no, and it's interesting because when you read the when you read about like, because they had a big kind of conference meeting. Sounds a bit bizarre for a meetup of Wehrmacht officers, or I should say generals. But literally, they met up and Hitler was there as well. And Hitler was arguing to stop it, but he also kind of just like, after they had this big kind of debate about going through with it, I think he just relented and was like, "Oh, fuck it." But there was a lot of arguments back and forth between what they should do. Okay, so I think I've got one. Oh wait, no, I've got 1, 2. I think I have 3. Yeah, I've got 3 that I like. I'll put the rest back. That way I can randomly select one. Is there a way to shuffle it? Like shuffle the deck?
Let me click on it and see. I don't think you need to. I think it reshuffles it automatically. But if you right click on it, you can select draw multiple cards or draw specific cards. So then I think it would probably show you that's where and it shows you a list of the deck and you can choose those ones to draw.
Yes,
and then a bit further along at the top, again, where it says deck, it says German hand, and you can drag them into there.
That is what I was going to ask next. Yes.
And then that's basically your hand of cards that you can keep on standby.
Which, sorry, going back to the thing. Okay.
Anyway, for everyone expecting the Germans to lose in this case, historically Nye tends to beat me savagely. So.
I don't think that's a good thing in this scenario. To be fair, I was playing the Warsaw Pact last time, which also isn't super great. So
precisely. I should have had significantly more initiative rounds than you did, because the NATO deck is set up that it has like more ability to maneuver and stuff, and should draw more cards. I have I had 2 cards per division of mine on the field, to your 1 per division, and you still managed 3 consecutive initiative pulls, and like oh dear, I was thoroughly deservedly trounced.
So yes, do we need to do anything else?
I think I'll just click on move again just to make sure, and I think that's everything set up.
Oh, how does Air Force work? Is that just
basically it's one of the cards? Yeah, you'll pull a card and it will say in your case Stuka or something like that, and then it's kind of the same method as artillery, except it can do significantly more damage. Mm-hmm. For instance, it has a slightly smaller field though, because you'll with air forces you can attack 2 adjacent hexes, whereas with artillery you attack a hex and 2 adjacent hexes to that hex of your choice. So that has a wider range, but it also has a more limited scope, because the Air Force will probably do more damage, definitely in this case with tanks, than an artillery bombardment.
Another tidbit that I know with the Air Force, because I think this is interesting.
Yeah, the 30mm cannons hurt.
Yes, so after Battle of Stalingrad, because as I said prior, to understand Kursk, you need to understand where the Axis are after Stalingrad, or at least the European Axis. They had lost a lot of their heavy equipment, mainly artillery, because that's really heavy and hard to move, and when you're surrounded and all that kind of shit. Anyway, so we're kind of in a bit of a problem with Kursk, because they didn't have enough artillery to actually, at least from what they could see, make the breakthroughs they needed, because artillery is an important aspect to that. So their plan to alleviate that is certainly interesting. They took a lot of the close air support aircraft from the Luftwaffe, so like the Stuka, which is, so for context, the Stuka, while being a very good weapon of terror, because it was a very big morale decreaser, because you'd hear that
with the sirens
from the air brakes.
Yeah.
They weren't super great if there was a good if the opponent had air superiority, because they're big.
Yeah, because they're fairly slow.
Yeah, and so they're not great at maneuvering. So they had enough of them. So what they did was
close air support.
Yes, and most of the Luftwaffe. Well, what the Luftwaffe's main goal was to be ground support. So they fitted huge cannons onto the Stukas. I think they're called something like what they called like board cannon or something like that. 3.7 centimeter caliber cannons. And they also had other stuff like I think they had some like Focke-Wulfs they converted to like ground attack types, and I think some.
Well, that's the thing as well. Yeah, the Stuka basically gets the most airtime when anyone's talking about German close air support, but obviously they had
others.
Different types of planes. In a lot of cases, also because of, once again, lack of supplies and ability to produce them quickly enough. But, yeah.
So the question bears with, why did they not have a lot of aircraft? Obviously, 43, there are lots of shortages in equipment, but it's also because still in 43, they are fighting 2 fronts, occasionally 3, depending on when they want to bomb the British. By this point, they've kind of stopped the Luftwaffe came back and forth with bombing Britain in various means. But so the Luftwaffe is stretched. It's going into North Africa, which I know for a lot of people, it's like that has wrapped up. But it's not like a video game where once...
No. Well, that's the thing. It like wrapped up. It moved and shifted towards Italy because the invasion. And then there was also everything in the Mediterranean, like Malta and stuff, because obviously the siege of Malta had been lifted by then as well. So that had taken up a lot of Luftwaffe supplies and planes, which were then also difficult to replace when they were destroyed.
And also the other big one, and I'm mentioning them now so I don't keep mentioning them, partisans. There was a big partisan activity just before Kursk, specifically to fuck with supplies and also to stop troop training, which the Germans were doing as the Soviets were. And it's kind of like, as we go forward and play this and we talk about this stuff, it really is just like Kursk was a shit show before they even put the accelerator on the tanks. Like, there was so many things that the Allies collectively were doing to put pressure on them, which was
historically it probably comes out looking better for the Germans than it really was.
It's like, it's lauded, to me at least, and I've not spoken to every person that is familiar with this battle, but a lot of people that I've spoken to, they kind of talk about it like they were so close, and you're like, not really. They got a little bit in the south.
Salem. That was it. It came nowhere near joining up anyway.
Yes.
But
we'll start, and then the pair of us will probably just natter on occasionally.
Evil Gilmore pointed out the actual battle was a stalemate, but a stalemate in this case was a Soviet victory because
pretty much,
the Soviets intended for it not to go anywhere. And it didn't.
That's why. That's why they built up defenses, because literally the plan was to blunt the armored defensive. They knew they would throw all their tanks in, so they were like, "That's fine, throw in as many tanks you want, because we know you can't replace them if you lose them."
And that was it. And that had been a problem all throughout the war and was now becoming a very big issue.
Yes. Also, fun fact, I read, I don't know how valid this one is because I'm not super sure on the source, but apparently they threw in a lot of like the Lend-Lease, so like a lot of Matildas and I think a couple Churchills and stuff. So I just love the idea. It's like half of these aren't even our tanks, like, and like M3 Lees, that was the other one, and like it really is just like, you can destroy these if you want. We don't care.
Yeah, and to be honest, by that point, things like the Lees and stuff,
or the T70 as well.
Yeah, the allies were also like, we're not really intending on using that too much anymore either.
Well, so, like,
you can have
the Lees specifically was a stop
if they get blown. And
and I think I read somewhere. Sorry,
so many things wrong with that. But yeah, we should also probably. Sorry, Nye.
Yes, sorry. No, I know. I just got myself there.
Getting deep into history, and we should actually probably play a turn
so the game.
that people don't have to listen to us go on and look at the map and go, "Well, is anything going to happen?"
Another way you can describe.
Yeah, we'll intersperse the game with.
Yeah, because it gets a bit. You end up talking when you play these games because it is a bit.
That's half the fun of wargaming, isn't it? Anyway, so the sequence of play starts with determine initiative, but obviously you start off with initiative as the German player. So I cede that to you. We've already got our action cards drawn. Rally phase. There's no one disrupted. Not important. And then here come your first choices. So you start off with the fire phase. But I'm guessing that's also something actually before I let you play, because I forgot to mention that during running through the rules. The fire phase alternates. So the initiative player starts, you select a unit, they fire, and then I select a unit, they fire, and so forth until both sides go, I don't want to fire any more units, or there's nothing left. The movement phase is all in one go for the initiative player, and then all in one go for and then close assault phase is the same as the fire phase. It alternates. So is
what's my range?
Your choice. Your range is pretty this chart here, which is also available, range color explanation
my apologies.
on the thing. So basically a tiger tank in this case can fire up to 10 hexes at long range, 5 hexes in normal range, which would have no penalty, and then short range, which would give a bonus, is 3 hexes. If I may suggest, don't forget you can move and fire, so it might be
which is what I was going to do.
More worth your effort skipping the fire phase and just going straight to the movement phase, because the fire phase comes first. But obviously, with tanks, you can move and fire, which happens during the movement phase.
Yes. So I move 2. Yes.
But you get penalties for that.
Yes. So I have a movement of 4, but I can move 2.
So you can move 2. And your choice is basically, if you want to move and fire, you can fire first, then move. You could, in this case, move 1 hex, then fire, then move a hex. Or you could move 2 hexes and then fire. Yeah, they specifically say that in the rules, because that is very uncommon in Hex and Counter wargaming, that you can stop, fire, and continue on.
I will move my 2.
Just to answer Evil Gilmore's question quickly.
Apologies.
I can't see the chat.
Right, okay.
Because he was having a bit of technical difficulty as well, we both earlier, so that's why you have his nice face on there and his voice as a ghostly apparition. But the T-34s, I think they're green band, aren't they? Short range is 1, normal range is 3, and long range is 5. So basically, Nye's normal range is my absolute long range.
Yeah. And
you're
actually, if I'm foregoing my shooting phase now, are you going to be shooting at me, basically? or can you?
I will have a look, but I think it's, as far as I recall, it's set up so that I can't actually shoot at you in the first turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, that I'd sort of have to be. Yeah, basically, I'll give you a bit of information here because I'm kind. Anything before L column, I can't shoot at you.
Perfect.
Well,
I'm not going to move into L column.
Well, you'll have to eventually. And eventually, also, there are mines, remember that.
Well, it's fine.
The
Soviets would mine their own roads. I can
deploy. Wow.
I know, yeah.
4 minefields that I can deploy one by one at any time.
Yeah, that infamous phrase: "Our soldiers move in minefields as if the minefields weren't there." Can't remember who said that, but it was a Soviet general. Which was code for we just told them to go regardless if there was a minefield or not. Okay, yeah. I'm going to forgo my shooting phase and just go into move, but I'm going to move and shoot, so I'm going to move my 2. So we're going to move these. I'm going to go from north to south. So I'm going to move this tiger into K1. Sorry, I'm just going to fix it so it's right. Sure. And this is the only one that's on its own. I'm going to move these central 2 tigers into K3, and because it's on the road, it's not affected by this terrain, or it's not adversely affected. Yeah. Okay.
No, that's fine as well. Yeah. Also, you can see the terrain modifiers in the
on the chart on my chart thing. Yeah, this is cultivated, is it? The kind of...
Which one are you looking at? That
K3.
unit, K3. Yeah. That's rolling hills.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Oops.
That sort of doesn't count as a hill, but you're coming out of that hillside, the darker coloured area behind it. This sort of area is hillside for the people watching on Twitch. I don't know if you can see my selection box. No, probably not. No.
I don't think I can.
No.
I want to move the final 2 onto K18.
Yep. Here. Okay.
Stick to the roads.
Yeah.
Even though they're not great. Okay. And then the next phase is...
Well, then it's the firing
shooting
part of your movement phase, basically. Yeah.
And this isn't back and forth because I've done it in the movement phase.
No, because it's in the movement phase. You get to do everything in one.
Yeah.
Well, basically, what you would have had to do. Sorry, that's my fault as well. But we'll take it into account for next time. Is move a unit, fire, then move a unit and fire.
Right. Okay.
And you have to complete the entirety of your move and fire.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. I will let you off because once again I forgot to mention it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll remember for next time. That's my fault as well. I should have read the rules more closely. Okay, I'm going to. Oh, excuse me. And how do cards work? I can draw them at any time, or is it specifically?
No, it should say on the card if there is any specific time or phase that you have to use it in, and if not, then
okay.
And obviously the red bit is for me if I had that card, and the
yes
the bit with the iron cross on it is
I have a bit called fire. I have a bit that says fire, and I think that's a comma movement.
Yeah,
that's one of the cards. So
you can use it during the fire or the movement phase.
Okay. I would like to use it then, if that's okay. Can I put it on the board? Is that how I...
Sure. Yeah. Throw it on maybe the back of the board somewhere.
You've just revealed my trap card. Let's see. Yep. So that is artillery barrage. It gives me 8 firepower attack.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm. And that
obviously that is the thing that we talked about before. So you can't potentially destroy one of my units with it, but
it's gonna fuck you
but
up.
it'll disrupt it most likely. Another thing, one of your units had to be eligible and have line of sight to where you're firing at the time. So that's sort of an important flip back to moving an entire unit and firing in one go, because basically up until you move, you're an eligible unit, but once you've moved, you get a move token on, and you're no longer an eligible unit.
Right. So this card does nothing, I presume.
Oh no. Well, you could say, for instance, this unit, like, it was my fault for not explaining it. This unit, when they were still in wherever they started, I4 or whatever, would have had line of sight to, for instance, here, my unit in, what is it, Q2, Q1?
Yeah, I think it's
Q1. You would have had line of sight to that before you moved, so you could have used your artillery barrage first and then moved that unit.
Oh no.
So there you go for it.
Okay, I will attack then. Well, I'll attack with the unit that you were just describing first.
Oh, you don't. You can pick whatever unit you could.
Well, is the card only applicable to one attack, or is it applicable to all until the end of my turn, I presume?
No, it's one artillery bombardment that you're going to do, which has nothing to do with your actual attack from your tanks.
Okay.
But they have to have line of sight to call it in, is basically the idea.
Right.
They have to be on standby and have line of sight to call it in before they actually move.
My apologies.
But this is a completely separate attack that you're doing with a firepower of 8.
Right. Okay, I got a bit confused there. Okay, I will attack with the tanks.
Yeah.
And we'll just see. I said to people watching that this is what would happen.
Specifically, Q1. So that unit here, this sort of unit.
Yeah, that'll be the one that these two tank groups are attacking. I think that I don't think the one in K18 can see anything, can it?
No, I
lots of trees blocking.
I put them at the back of the tree lines in the hope that I think trees are blocking terrain as far as I know. Forest, yes. There you go, blocking terrain.
I thought I read that. Okay. So I'm going to have...
It's pretty much the only place I had any real decent blocking terrain. So
I'm going to put these guys in K1. So the K1 unit, which is only one tank, is going to fire on the unit you described in Q1.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So they're firing their actual tank attack then.
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, you'll do your artillery barrage attack, and then use that and then use the unit in K3. Yeah. Something like that. Or
yep, that's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So what is happening here is on the left, top left, you have your attacking value.
So
versus
12?
Yeah, 12 versus on the top right of my unit is my armor value, which is 4. So the difference between that is 8. So you'd be on the fire result table column, which I'll bring up for people at home.
Yes.
You'd be on the 8 column. But then you have some modifiers. In this case, you get... Wait, let's see. What range is it? It's not within normal range for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's at long range. So you get a 2-column shift left, which would be a 4.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, okay.
Wait, are you 2 tanks stacked there? No, it's only one, isn't
No,
it?
that one is only one, but the other one I'll attack with is a 2 stack.
So it's at long range, so it's shift 2 to the left to 4. And then it is also a moving attack. So then it gets, because you have an orange move attack value, it gets a 1 shift left. So to a 2.
Okay, so it's still
then
2.
And then basically you roll a d10 on that. And you can either roll it in the thing itself, or you can just roll one at home if you have a d10 next to you.
No, I'll roll it. I'll roll it in.
I'm fine with physical dice.
It's 2d10 I'm rolling?
1 d10.
1d. Okay.
Yeah, you're on the 2 column. And
right, okay.
basically the result will be the number of potential hits.
So I got
a 7. So you have to roll low, by the way, for people at home.
No, I know, I feel
that's 1 potential hit, so it could potentially disrupt one of the units there. I will roll a morale save, which for the Soviets is 3, which is not great. So I have to roll a 3 or under on a d10.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I roll a 7. So I'm going to select this unit at the back, and I will put a disruptive marker on it. So one of the other important things that does is that means that unit isn't an eligible unit anymore. So I can't move with it, I can't fire with it. I can defend with it, but I basically can't do anything useful with it until that disruption is...
You've got to undisrupt them,
Yeah. I think it's actually probably called disorder in this game. I keep calling it disrupted because that's like a standard thing in Hex and Counter games. But there you go. The concept is the same.
Yeah.
So that unit, your tiger, you can mark as fired as well now. So now it'll be moved and fired.
Okay. How do I...
If you right click on it.
Yep. It's got a little fired symbol.
There you go.
Okay. And I'd like to attack with the 2 group now as well.
Do you want to do your artillery bombardment first? Or?
I do, actually. Okay. So that's an 8 attack.
Yeah.
So how many die am I rolling for that? Just 1 as well?
So in this case, is it on the same spot?
Yeah, it's still on the same spot. Yeah.
Because I suppose you probably might not have been able to see that because you can hit with an artillery bombardment. You can hit a hex plus 2 adjacent hexes of your choice. So
makes more sense
be
to go
giving
for the T-34s near.
If can you see this unit that I've selected?
No, but I'm assuming you're referring the ones I should have either gone for are the 2 in the center.
Yeah, because then you could potentially push that 2 adjacent out
a lot more easily.
To what is it, Q5, Q6? So then it'd hit the unit in R5 and the unit in Q6. But you don't have to do that. I'm fine if you don't want to.
I know. I think I will do that. Yeah. The 1, Okay, so
this is the first time, by the way. I've played this before physically with my actual physical copy, but this is the first time that Nide's played it. So I'm being nice.
Of course, yeah. No, exactly. And
also,
just because
no one really gets an idea of how it plays if I go, well, maybe you shouldn't do that or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough. I'd like to attack there then. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many die am I rolling?
So you're hitting both of those thingies, but you'll be making 1 attack against the unit in R5 and then a separate attack against the unit in Q6 because they're also going to have different modifiers.
For the...
Oh, well,
that's
I was
another 7.
I was going to run through the thingy first. So on the same fire results table, you start off with a firepower attack of 8 minus the 4 armor, brings you down to 4, the 4 column.
Okay.
And then what terrain are they in? Wait, let's see. That's just open terrain. That's on me. So that wouldn't have any other shifts, I don't think. So yeah, that 7 would be a straight up 7 on the 4 column, which is 2 potential hits. So I have to make 2 saves on a 3. Let's see if this works. That's 3 saves. Wait, I may have done it wrong. But yeah, I'll do it again because I filled it in wrong. Sorry. That would have been great for me though, a 1 and a 3. There you go. So a 2 and an 8, it's that unit's disrupted. It failed one of the 2. And then for the other unit in the forest, so that's an 8 to 4 again. So on the 4 column, but the terrain modifier for a forest is to column shift is 2 shifts. 2 shifts left, but in artillery it counts as 1 shift left, apparently. Oh yeah, because the idea that, you know, artillery exploding in a forest creates a lot of excess shrapnel from trees exploding in forests. Yeah. So that would be on the 2 column that you're rolling. So roll 1d10 again. That's a critical. Yeah. So what a critical does with an artillery barrage? No, it counts as a 0. It's 0 to 9. So it's a critical hit. 0 and 1 are critical hits.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
So what that basically does is, no matter what else happens, I lose a step on one of those units.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's also the only way an artillery barrage can actually think. So I'm going to flip this one. And then on the 2, you get 4 potential hits. So I have to roll 4 dice. Fortunately, these can only disrupt me further. But, you know, not great. 3, a 3, a 4, and a 6. So even though I got 2 3s, both units are still disrupted because I have 2 excess hits and they have to be equally divided between the 2 units. That's me stuffed all along the line. And then you can still fire with that Panzer unit. You can throw that card away if you want now. Thank you, Josh Puka, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, listening to us rattle on, and it'll be up on YouTube afterwards if you want to watch the rest. So thank you for joining us now, and
thank you.
Have a nice rest of the day wherever you're off to. Well, you say that Josh Puka would like to would 100% sit down to just listen to us talk about history. So there you go. Nye, it's up to you now, Nye.
Yes.
All right, and we'll continue. Continue on with Nye destroying my outer defenses.
Okay, I'm gonna have. So this is the 2 panzers that are shooting.
Yeah, the 2 panzers in K3 can now actually fire as well.
Okay.
Anything in range. But you'll be at long range again, obviously. So
yeah. So
pick a unit.
I'm probably
going to
be shooting at. Can I shoot at the 2 again in Fyodorova? K. No.
Actually,
not K. Q,
amusingly, you couldn't shoot at them the first time. That's silly of me.
Oh shit! Okay.
Because
no, I won't shoot
that Panzer unit at the back that you fired on in K1 is actually in clear terrain, so it's on ground level. Well, level 0,
over the
and there's 2 hills next to it and a rolling hill to the thing, so it doesn't actually have line of sight.
I'm happy to say,
if you want to swap that, I can undisrupt that unit, and if you want to swap that, you can just move it forward 2 more hexes, or you might not want to do that, depending on, then you're in range of me shooting at you.
I'm only going to move them 2.
But you can remove the fired marker if you want.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And the mistakes happen. We'll call them rallied. Yeah.
But I don't want to, because that will remove my move, won't it?
Oh no, if you right click on it and click on fired marker, it'll just remove it again. Yeah. It is actually a fairly, especially for Hex and Counter games, I think Vassal is a fairly good system for playing stuff like that. If you have the right modules.
Very true, yeah.
Which was part of our technical difficulties earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, do you want to play this game with me? But then I forgot to send you the actual module for the game. So.
It's fine. I should have been more prepared myself.
I was not very prepared either, so it's entirely on me as I'm hosting. But what you can do is the K3 unit being on that hill can actually spot down.
Yes.
To Fyodorov, the Dorovo, or they could probably see the unit in R5 behind those cultivated fields, because cultivated fields are level 0 as well, so they're just sort of looking straight out over the plains.
I might just try and shatter the center then if I have the opportunity. I might actually do that then. I'll shoot down onto R5, I guess.
Boom. Okay then.
Yep.
So that's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I count? Yeah. At 7 hexes range, so that's long range again. 12 to 4 is 8. The 8 column, but 2 shifts left for long range is the 4 column again. And then 1 shift left for move and fire with your orange move and fire band is the 2 column. So if you roll a d10 on the 2 column, we'll see what that brings.
Okay. I got another 7. These dice are cursed, and they're electronic.
See, I did give you the opportunity to roll physically, though. So
it's fine. No, it adds to the immersion.
Yeah. So a 7 was 1 potential hit. That could be bad for me. Except I rolled a 1 that pinged off of the nice sloped T-34 armor.
Damn. Oh well.
It was just too far.
Just too far.
And you're still ranging in as you're moving forward.
Of course. I think that's me then for the move shoot phase aspect. Because I don't really think.
Oh no! Wait, sorry. That was 2 units, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah.
So you also get after that you get a 2 column shift right for firing with 2 units. Well, with a stack of 2 units, because you have an extra unit that's assisting. Sorry, So that goes
That's
up from a 2 back to a 6, which would have been 2 potential hits. So I have to roll another save dice, and that one fluffed it. So I will flip this unit. So it's disrupted and it has been severely damaged. For Evil Gilmore, who didn't join us right at the start, I think, the counters represent tank platoons. So in this case, it's like 3 to 5 tanks. In the Soviets' case, it'll probably be definitely 5 tanks, maybe even more. But yeah, half of them have been taken out by a tiger attack. So you can mark that unit as fired.
Okay, I shall do that now. Fired. Okay, anything else I need to do?
Is there anything else you want to do with any of your units?
I don't think...
Well, in the movement phase.
Is there anything else I can do other than move and shoot? I think I've moved them all.
Not really, I think, yeah.
Oh, I guess I could move...
You
no, that would
could have potentially, yeah, you could have potentially have moved, well, no unit can see them at the moment, so you can move that one at the bottom into L or further, because
L,
they're
yeah,
not
well, that would
really
be
in
my
line of
4.
sight of anything. Yeah, you could have moved them 4 hexes. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Is it okay if I say I would have done that, or is that no?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Then it is my movement phase. I think what I am going to do is unit, shall I drop it down? I want to put a mine on at least one of them. I think I will select your fancy pants. No, I'm going to select the single tiger at the top, because I stand most chance of really hitting that one hard, because it's on its own, so you won't be able to, you know, disrupt, flip, destroy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do I have any mine markers? Or I have part of this scenario, the Soviets have 4 minefield markers that I can place during any phase or turn of the game. Deploy 1 to a maximum number of 4 minefield markers anywhere on the map between J column and S column. So between this bit for people watching on Twitch and this bit, these columns. Basically where that red line is at the top, anywhere in there. And I'm going to use that to attack this panzer. And let me go and see if I can find a mine marker. There we go. That, yeah, underneath you there. Sorry. That up again. Alright. And what that mine marker does, if I just get my book quickly, because it has the actual strength of the mines in there as well. Yep. What does it say on here? It does. Yeah, I have it in the scenario. Hasn't got it there, but it's got on the page before. So a minefield. When a unit enters a minefield hex, or a minefield is placed in a unit's hex, it's immediately attacked with an armor piercing value or high explosive firepower of 6 before any other forms of attack. Armor fighting vehicles can be reduced by minefield attacks. It only occurs in the minefield hex, which seems obvious. 0 or 1 don't have a critical like they do on an artillery barrage, and the target doesn't receive any terrain modifiers, so you don't get any defensive bonus from certain types of terrain.
Okay.
So that's a firepower of 6 versus your armor of 8, which, you know, is not great for me. So I'm on the on the -2 column. I don't think I really get any modifiers for anything. No. I'll just roll a d10 then, and we'll see what happens. Also, for people watching, you can see our rolls and things that are happening up here because it gives a text readout of what's going on. Yeah, to be honest, Evil Gilmore, I can't remember all the tank numbers and strengths for a lot of things either. A 5, which will probably be... That's on the... If you can see the -2 chart, that's on the 4 to 6 roll of it, which is 1 potential hit. So there you go. Nye gets to roll 1 dice, and he's looking for something less than or equal to a 5, which is his morale save for the Germans.
Let's see. A 2.
So it does
was
nothing.
1d10. Yep.
Yeah. So you rode over a few mines with your tigers, and well, they were there. There were mines there. But, yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, at this point, I don't know. I really kind of fancy just moving back a bit.
Retreat!
Well, it would probably be in my best interest. There's very little chance of me just throwing these T-34s at you now and holding you there. I can't even hit you because you're out of range. Right, especially this group up the top in Fyodorov. Don't really think there's much point in them sticking it out there. So I'm probably going to use my movement phase to move them back 4. Let me just have a look at what moving into a forest hex would cost me. It's 2 points for, well, an armored unit. So I could potentially move them back into B1 or B2. I think I'm going to do that. It's probably better me focusing Group 1 and Group 2 together to take on the threat of these giant tigers. I could always obviously just move forwards and try and fire at you, but you know. So back to there. And then down here, moved completely. Yeah, no, I can't really get anything there. Move them to there. Whichever way you go, I can do something about it. Okay. Group 2 is probably pretty eager to get into the action as well, but I'm going to leave them back a bit for now. And I think that's pretty much most of my movement then. By most of, I mean all of my movement. So after movement phase, it goes into close assault phase. I don't think there are any eligible close assaults going on, are there, Nye?
No, I wouldn't say so. What are we gonna reenact the tank ramming that purportedly happened at the Battle of Kursk?
Unless you really, really want your tigers to fight each other in some kind of close combat melee against themselves, I'd be fine with that. But I don't think that's even described in the rules anywhere, so, you know.
Yeah.
Fight yourself. No, yeah. After that is the housekeeping phase. Basically what happens there is I click this unmove button at the top, and it removes all the move tokens from the map. And all of the disrupted tokens and things like that stay put, but you can remove that fire token from your Panzer unit in K3.
Okie doke.
And then we go on to aid and focus phase. Now I mentioned it before, but now we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what you can do in the aid and focus phase. So I was trying to run through the rules a bit quickly. But we ended up talking about a bunch of other stuff. At this point, starting with the initiative player, so that's you, Nye, you can add your focus token. That's the little commander token that you can see on the left side of the board, just off the map under the Stuka. You can choose to do nothing with it, remove it from the map, but it's not on the map at the moment. Flip the marker if it's already on the map and on its single side. Move the marker 3 hexes from its previous position on the map, or place it on the map on the 1 dice side. And what you'll be able to do with that marker is that's like an area where you're putting in a focus, and you can spend that token during the fire or move and fire phase or close assault phase to re-roll one of your attack dice.
Okay.
Of the unit it's on, basically.
Yes. I'll probably put
What you can also do is you can add it to the initiative board, and then you can use it to re-roll your initiative dice for a turn sometime in the future. The choice is yours. You can put it on a unit on its 1 dice side, or put it in the initiative part on its 1 dice side.
no.
Choices.
Decisions. Well, I would like to put it on. I think I'll put it on the middle, the one here, the middle unit.
Yeah, I think that's
all right.
Right, and then basically you get the same choice again with the aid token. And what that does is exactly the same as the focus token, but for morale rolls. So to block potential hits, you can, when it's on its 1 dice side, which at the moment it appears to be on its 2 dice side, but off map. So if you flip it first, so it's on its 1 dice side.
Do I just press F on it, or
right click on it and click flip?
No,
yeah.
Okay, there we go.
If you place that on a unit, it could be the same unit as the focus is on. If that unit gets hit, you could spend that that aid
Reroll.
focus, to re-roll.
To reroll. I think I will. I think we're gonna go classic. It's gonna put all our eggs in one basket. What could go wrong? Okay.
So I can do the same thing. I'm going to put that one down there. And then I think that one there with that unit. Let's close them up. There you go. And that is the aid and focus phase. And now we advance the turn marker from turn 1 to turn 2. This game, by the way, has a potential of 14 turns, but I doubt we'll play that long, purely time-wise, if anything. And I think, at some point it will become apparent who's going to win.
Okay.
This second turn's going to go a lot quicker anyway.
Yeah, of course. Right. So we now roll for
now
initiative.
It's determine initiative. So we both roll a d10. I rolled a 5. You rolled a 9. So you keep initiative.
Okay.
Then it goes to draw action cards. So we each get to draw 1 card. It's starting with you, because you're the initiative player.
Yep. So I should just draw a random card. Okie dokie.
Put it in your German deck.
Yep.
Done that.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I'm just double checking.
We'll draw a card then as well. And move that to my deck. There you go. Close that up. So you can potentially use 2 cards a turn. And now it's the rally phase. Basically, any unit that's disrupted, that's only going to be me, can roll a morale check, and if they pass, then they rally. So this unit in the center here, I'll roll a d10 for, and it did not rally. And then this unit here, I moved them by accident. I will also roll 1 for, and they also didn't rally, but I'm gonna spend my, oh no, you can use that in the rally phase. I'm gonna spend my aid token to re-roll that, and it still didn't do anything. So there you go, my 2 units are disrupted. My morale score is 3, which is very low. Then once again, it's your fire phase or movement phase, or starting with the fire phase, you get to go first.
I'm gonna have a
if
look.
You want to.
I don't think it's possible, is it? Because I don't have line of sight with anything apart from my tiger up there shooting down on the ones in R5, is it?
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'll go for an R5 shot.
You could do that.
I'll go for that.
In R5, yeah. That's pretty much the only one that's visible.
Oh, let me see. Do I have any cards that could help me in the fire phase? Oh, I do. Oh, that's nice. I'll just draw this card.
Yeah.
Conduct an
Remember though,
attack.
if you fire in the fire, there you go. That's a better idea. Yeah, that's basically, that saves your fire as well. I was going to say, if you fire in the fire phase, you get fire token, and then you're not eligible to move in the movement phase.
That's okay, because I have other tanks that can move. I'm happy that guy sitting tight.
Well, you don't need to if you're going to attack me with a Stuka.
Yeah, exactly.
He just needs to be eligible to spot for the Stuka. Then after that, he doesn't get a fire token.
I don't have to shoot.
No,
okay.
Doesn't
I thought
count
I had
as,
to shoot.
No.
Well, I'm going to.
You just have to have an eligible unit, so
Okay,
one
then.
without a marker on it
Yeah.
that has line of sight.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to attack then.
That's unfortunate for me.
Getting to choose your cards is great.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I have my
because
little.
that punches a potentially big hole in the center that you could run through.
Exploit. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do I do this? I've got my Stuka here. Should I put him on the board?
So your Stuka's armor piercing value is the top left one. So you can put it on the board
12.
if you want. You don't need to, but it's a nice little piece that you can put there. So that's 12 versus the T-34's 4 armor. So you're on the 8 column, and I don't think it actually has any other modifiers. You always count as flanking as well, I think. Do you always count as flanking with... Let me have a look. Sorry. Can count as flanking. Yeah, airstrikes are always considered flanking fire. So you get the flanking fire bonus for that, which is 1 column shift to the right, which would mean that you're on the 10 column. And you can roll a d10 on that, and likely that tank's not going to be there for very much longer.
Okay. I shall roll my. Sorry, I'm just smiling. Well, I shouldn't be smiling because I'm
You're
destroying
smiling much like...
I'm also. That's also what the pilot looks like. He should really be piloting the plane. Ah!
Yeah.
I shall roll my d10. 6.
So that's the 4 to 6 part of the thingy. On the 10 column is 4 potential hits. That's massive, because it's already been flipped and it's disrupted, so any extra hit I get now destroys it. And I will roll 4 hits, and it was annihilated. So I had to roll 3s or less, and I got a 5, an 8, an 8 and a 9. So we're going to delete that unit, though I should probably replace it with a rec marker. Are there rec markers in this? I forget. No, there are. Yeah. I'm going to delete that unit, and I will grab a rec marker from up here. You get to admire your handiwork.
Yes.
On the board physically. Okay. Now potentially I could fire, because the fire phase alternates.
Yep.
But I don't actually have any units that are eligible to fire, because, yeah, as we discussed at the start, my maximum range is 5 hexes, and you're still outside of that. So yeah, I think I'll basically just say now that I'm not going to fire in the fire phase. I don't think I have a card that can use. Yeah, I can't. I'll use those later. Yeah. No. So you can keep firing if you have any units that could fire. And
I don't think I
that,
do. Do I? Because I need to. I need to move this one. I guess I. No, I can't, because the trees are covering, aren't they?
Yeah.
Line of sight blocking.
Let's see if I can do something. Yeah, no. So after that, I take it you're going to move the movement phase
Yes.
rather than fire. Yeah. In which case you can move all of, well, one by one.
Yes.
As we've established.
I'm going to move them.
You can move or move and fire, but you have to complete the entire movement of and fire potentially of the stack.
Honestly, I think I'm just going to move.
Yeah, I think you're in a good position to as well.
Yeah. I shall do that.
I'd be glad for anything that comes near enough.
1, 2, 3, 4 into Q1.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, you're still...
1, 2, 3. Oh, that was stupid. Never mind. There's a slight... he's leading out.
Oh,
I've Dunkov, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just driving, sir. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
this is the scary one because you might be able to shoot these two down here. I'm fine that I've only been able to move 3 with them. I'm not planning on shooting. I just need to get these 3 battalions down to start actually moving forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
See that one in the trees? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shit! I'm in range now of your long range. Didn't see.
Peekaboo.
Oh, no.
Well, I thought if I put it there, I nicely cover, like, if you go up, if you go down and try and skirt around the south edge, I can appear. And hopefully go.
Never mind. We'll just have to take you out, but later because I'm not.
Because you can't see me at the moment.
How do trees work? Yeah.
So basically, I'm behind. You'd have to be in the tree. Well, you'd have to be in an adjacent hex, because right now there's a blocking hex in front of me of trees, so you can't see anything behind that. You can see into the first hex of trees, but you can't see anything behind that because it's blocking terrain, basically in the same way that a hill is and things like that, or a rolling hill. You can't see what's behind it. Even if it wasn't a forest behind it, you wouldn't be able to see it because there's a forest in the way. But if this unit, I'll just move them quickly just to give you an idea. If this unit was here, then you'd be able to see them because they're in blocking terrain, but that doesn't block the actual terrain you're looking into. It blocks the terrain behind it.
Okay, right.
If you get my drift, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I put them in the center there, because they're hidden at the moment, but they're also in a position to move and fire. You know, move up 1 hex basically, and you'll be there somewhere for me to fire at.
Okay, that makes sense.
I had to give the Soviets a bit of a chance.
No, that is totally fair.
The chances are as well they'll basically fire off a load of cannon. Well, they're 76s and do very little. So
okay.
We'll see.
So I am now going to deal with my southern battalions.
Yeah.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, you meant it for actually this unit up the top. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're drawing line of sight straight through Fedorovo. So they're blocked by the city rather than by
okay, that's fine then. Yeah. That's fine.
Right.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the southern bit.
Oh, they're also fucked,
yeah. No, yeah, I have done my best to put everyone in a position where I can spring forward and shoot at you. Which I believe is the objective.
There we go. I've moved him to G.
Yeah.
Oh no, 06.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
There they are.
I think cultivated has an extra movement penalty for armor though. Yeah, costs 2
Even if
movement.
I'm on the road.
Oh yeah, you're on the road. Sorry. Yes, you are right. Yeah. That's just me trying to remember multiple things at the same time and then failing.
No, it's all right.
To
I've gotta remember some
observe the
stuff.
clearly obvious fact that you're on a road.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just try to remember what I can.
Yeah. So is that everything moved now?
Yep, that is everything moved.
Righty ho. Right. What I'm definitely going to do is in my move and fire, I'm going to move this unit here and fire. So now they're within 1, 2, 3 hexes of you, which for me is normal range. It's strength 8 versus an armor of 8. So my armor piercing firepower is 8 versus an armor of 8. So that comes down to a very less than spectacular 0. But I get 2 column shift right for having 2 units firing. That goes up to a 4. And then I think you probably, do you get a modifier for the cultivated terrain? Column shift to the left. No, not for tanks, only for infantry. Yay. So
hide in the fields.
Yeah, but
Tank cannot.
Is,
Quickly
I
into
think
the weeds.
they're over there. You mean
Cannot see
that
them.
lumbering mechanical beast knocking over all of the weeds? Yes, I think it's that. So that leaves me, if there's nothing else, no. Yeah, that leaves me on the 4 column, and I will roll a d10 and get a less than great 9, which is only 1 potential hit. So you can roll a morale save on a 5.
Okie dokie.
And
Please
actually,
get
no, wait, before you do that, sorry. Oh, did you
It's a
already
crit.
do it? Yeah.
I did. It's a crit.
I was
I really
gonna
hope you're not going to say
I-
you should re-roll it.
Well, no, I was going to use my focus reroll.
Oh,
Because yes,
Now I'm
obviously that
sad.
was entirely the reason I put that on that unit, and then forgot. I actually fired and rolled badly, but there you go.
you
No,
focus
that's fine.
re-roll. I'll roll again as well because I shall waited for you to finish.
Sorry. So
It's
I'll
okay.
re-roll my d10, and that's a 5, which might be a bit better. Yeah, that's 2 potential hits. So yeah,
Okay.
you pinged 1 with a critical 0, and you just need 1 more roll then,
2.
and that's fine. So basically, I hit nothing. They fired, they did nothing. Huh. And then I'm going to try and move this unit to R1, where I believe they should probably be able to fire at your unit in... maybe not. But I'll do it anyway. Thinking if I'm there, no, it's still going to have to go through the city hex, isn't it? It's not along the edge. So it won't actually be able to shoot that. What else can I do then? I will move that unit back. And then I have 2 They disrupted as well. Yeah, they were both disrupted, so they can't do anything. At the back, more units there. I think I'm going to start bringing Group 2 forwards. So, moving through the town or city is town. Oh no, that's a city hex. Cost me 3 movement points. No fun. Out to there then. 1, yeah, come. 2. Well, like that. And then can I move across a stream? I don't. +1 to cross. So yeah, move these down. 1, 2, 3. Stuck in open terrain for a bit now. Good. Rolling hillside for a bit. Yeah, I think that's my movement. And then it'd be your close assault phase. Well, our close assault phase in general, but there's nothing to close assault.
Yep.
Then housekeeping. Move all the move markers and the fire markers. Yeah. And then aid and focus. So if you have an aid or a focus marker still on the board, you can flip it, or you can move them free 3 hexes.
Sorry, wait, I'm just.
But I'm assuming you're
What
going to
can I do
leave
with
them on there and flip them.
Yeah. Yeah, I flipped.
So basically now you can re-roll 2 morale dice or 2 firepower. Well, fire. You could re-roll 2 fire dice. So in most cases you won't be able to use the 2 fire dice in one turn, but you might do if you have certain rather useful cards. In which case you can fire more than one time in a turn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck mine on, chuck that one on there, and then the fire dice back on there. So I still have hope for them, but who knows. And then we advance the turn marker to turn 3. So there you go, that turn went a lot quicker. As I said, first turn always takes the longest as we all get used to how it works. So now we're back round to determining initiative, which is just a straight up 1d10 roll.
5. So, oh, you got the initiative first.
Fine.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I doubt it. Then draw a card. So I'll draw one first, as I have the initiative. Add it to my hand. And I'll keep that, yeah. And then you can draw a card and add it to your hand.
Oh yeah. deck. Draw a card. Yeah, you're right. They do.
Also, Evil Gilmore, thank you for sticking with us. Yeah, I don't think my feint to withdraw and overwhelm him at close range with superior numbers is going to work very well. I get the impression I'm going to get trounced by there. Right. I probably should have come out more aggressive off the bat and just, rolled T-34s forwards into close assault range. Did you do your action card?
Yeah, I've got my action card.
Yep.
I've got
Okay,
my. Sorry, I should have said that a bit louder.
Yeah. No,
Or
sorry.
I don't know if you have.
I was
said it.
also chatting away. So then it's the rally phase. Once again, I'm probably the only one who has to rally anything. So I have two tanks here, so that's 2 rolls. I'll roll for the top one first. I'm gonna leave that so it didn't undisrupt. I'll roll for the bottom one, which is the full strength unit. Didn't, but I'll spend my re-roll from my aid marker to try and re-roll that again. And that's a 0, so there you go, that was successful. Unit rallied. Where is it? Rallied. There you go. No, well, I'll leave it like that. Okay, so one of the 2 units rallied. And then it is the fire phase, in which I get to go first.
Oh no!
I wonder which unit I might try and fire at you with.
Oh,
Could it
I wonder
potentially
myself.
Be this one down here in, what is it, 07? And
Yeah, the 2
Or-
stack.
try and hit your tigers next to Stepanov novel. While I'm at it, because I'm allowed to play this in any phase,
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
I am going to select and discard a
Shit.
random card from your hand.
No!
So
Pick a,
I
well,
will-
do this. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
yeah.
That's probably the fairest
2.
way to do it. Okay. And I
There you go.
discard it, yeah?
Yeah, you just throw it away. And then I'll
Oh,
get
that
rid
is
of this
so
one.
ironic. Do you want to see what mine was? Wait, I'll put it on the table so the people watching can see.
On the table.
Draw and place in your hand a random card from the
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
There you go. The
So you don't take
partisans
this, I just
took you out.
have to destroy
No,
it.
you just discard it. Yeah, you can put it back in the deck.
That is
If you right click on
absolutely-
it, it says move to deck. Then it gets reshuffled in at the bottom. 'Cause it's,
Okay, should I put yours in as well since you've just put
oh,
it
I
in
did
like
mine. Yeah, I put mine. Oh, did it?
It doesn't put it in the deck, it just puts
doesn't
it
put
in the
deck.
used.
Right.
Are we only
reshuffle.
allowed
There
to
we
use
go.
them once? Or
I think you can just keep recycling. Well, oh yeah, you probably have to pull them all out and then reshuffle completely. Mad. Well,
it's fine.
It
I've gotten
doesn't
different
matter.
cards. I've gotten different cards each
Yeah.
time. That's all that matters
Yeah,
to me.
that's it.
I've not had any repeats.
Yeah.
So I think that's
well, there's various versions of the same. Well, there's a couple of certain cards have a couple of the same ones in there, so you might get potential repeats, but that's possible anyway. You could end up with 2 the same card.
Oh, okay.
Right, now I'm gonna fire with that unit at friends in M5. So same thing again. It's strength, well, armor piercing 8 versus armor 8, so it's on the 0 fire result table, but I get a shift to 2 right, because there's 2 units firing basically. So that ends up at a 4 column, and I'll roll a d10 because cultivated, as we established, doesn't do anything to protect tanks. And I rolled a 3, which will be pretty good, I think. There's 3 potential hits. So you have to roll 3 d10 hit saves.
So if I do this, I can roll.
Yeah, if you click on X d10, you can put 3 in, and then and
I don't want to add anything to each die.
No,
just
like
0.
yeah, you can just leave that all of the stuff on the left hand side as it is, but on the right hand side at the top, there's
So I got a 4, a 5, and an 8.
So that's 2 saves and 1 disrupted.
Okay, so I add
so
disrupted
your top unit is disrupted.
Yeah, it does say disorder, but it doesn't.
Yeah, disorder, whatever.
Doesn't matter. Means the same thing. People know what we're talking about.
Disrupted on the actual token, though, doesn't it? Where am I?
I don't know. I can't see.
I'll have a look at the game pieces. Disrupted. See, yeah, I thought so. It says disrupted.
Oh my word!
Someone's just put that in wrong. How dare they? Not that it really makes any difference.
I'm not like slamming it with all my history facts, but
I was just going to say, do you want to add any in at this point?
Well, I think what's interesting, like, because I was looking at some of this in preparation, is like this stark contrast between how the Wehrmacht operate and how the Soviets are, like the Red Army.
Yeah.
Because they are typically operating with like no reserves. The Wehrmacht, I mean, like it is all or nothing. Air Force is the most stark. Like every plane that's flying is a plane that is being used for the operation. There is no reserves, and they're actually flying multiple missions. Whereas the Red Army can swap out pilots. It can, replace damaged planes.
Now,
exactly, yeah.
Now
it can. Yeah, and it's yes, of course.
That ability.
But it's interesting to me because it kind of, because I've seen a lot of stuff where the Wehrmacht didn't have the best reserves. It had reserves of stuff, but compared to its contemporaries at the time, it had not made a lot of reserves. But then you can make the argument that a lot of countries had not made like the crazy reserves necessary because they hadn't expected the war to take the shape that it did. Obviously, though, that hurt some countries more than others.
But that sort of also plays into, gives you an idea of where that whole idea of fire brigades came from. Where the Germans started switching units about, veteran units about to areas where there was intense combat because they didn't have enough reserves. They could
sufficiently do that.
They could sort of resupply manpower to understaffed units, but that was getting difficult as well by this point, or more so than it had been. And then they started having to switch, send in units to where there was a problem to sort of help shore up the line, and then after that they'd have been scooted off to somewhere else where there was another problem. And whilst it helps shore up a line briefly, it also causes mass fatigue for the unit in question.
No, definitely,
really,
and it
really grinds them down.
And it's impractical from a logistics standpoint, which famously the Germans did not listen to their logistics officers. At least with Barbarossa, I know that.
That also, that's just also one of those elements where they didn't play into their own fighting style defensively.
Yeah,
because they were under orders that they weren't allowed to give up any ground. Basically Hitler demanded that everything they'd taken had to be kept, whereas their whole style is flexible in attack and defense. So,
but it's also
if they pull back further, they could, rather
It's-
than fighting it out for every inch.
It's also the lingering, though, of like the Prussian style of militarism, where it's like Germany or Prussia or whichever, iteration of that kind of part of the world is, they fight short campaigns because they're smack dab in between powers that are either bigger than them in the case of whatever form Russia is taking, or they're opposite colonial powers which have the Atlantic Ocean at their disposal, so like France or Britain. So they need to be quick with what they're doing. But Operation Barbarossa is the most obvious, where it's like, that model does not work. You can't just take a model that works for France and then just take like the expand button and go boop, 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 boop. There we go, it'll work. No problems there.
Why not?
Exactly.
No,
Look,
I know.
Everybody's in agreement that it's going to work, apart from these nerds and logistics who keep going, we don't have enough fuel or rubber or trucks or horses.
Yeah. Well, you could try it, but we don't guarantee we'll be able to bring you anything to live.
Well, and then they just go, oh, we'll just increase the speed that we need to take stuff so that counteracts it. And they're going, that's not how logistics works. You can't just, if anything, that increases the stress that you're putting the logistics on because you're trying to force things across faster.
That's also playing into that sort of idea of like, oh, if we capture it all quick enough, then they'll fold at some point. But obviously they didn't. And, then you're sort of stuck.
Yes. Right, we shall continue on, and then the next. I like this style of like take a little break in between each thing. I promise I won't do it too long though, because obviously it's getting late where you are.
Yeah. I was just going to say maybe after this we'll play one more turn, and then.
Yep, I'm absolutely fine with that.
We can save it, which is a great advantage with Vassal.
Yeah.
And potentially play on in the future, or we could say, oh, I want to try something a bit more complex with some infantry and stuff in it.
Of course.
Maybe.
So is it my go now, or you still need to clear some stuff up?
It is. Wait, let's see. What did I do? That was the fire phase that I did there. And I need to. Oh yeah, you had those. You disrupted unit. I have to mark this unit as fired. Basically, there you go. That's fine. Then I could potentially fire any other units that could hit. I might do that with this one here, the second unit in Q6, because they're not disrupted. Because I just undisrupted them in the rally phase. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to be at long range though. So basically, if I did the same thing again, in this case it would be a 0, but also then a 2-column shift left to -4. I don't think that's really that great for me. So I'll probably leave it, which means I'm not going to fire anything else in this fire phase. Which means, oh well, come to mention it, if you wanted to shoot, actually you can do that now before I did anything anyway, because it alternates in the fire phase. We haven't really had a solid fire phase, have we? So we haven't got used to it. Been a lot of move and fire, move and fire, move. Do you want to fire a unit?
Can I fire into the tree line, or is that not gonna work? If that makes sense.
No, you can. Like any unit that is at the front of the tree line, basically at a forest hex that is like at the front. If they can see you, you can see them. It's pretty much the principle.
Okay.
So my unit that fired at you, you're eligible to fire back at them, and the same with that other unit that I just decided not to fire, but wasn't allowed to yet anyway, because you had to get a chance to fire a unit first anyway.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and shoot with these guys, but I'm disrupted, right?
You could shoot with the bottom unit, so the disrupted unit can't fire. but there's a unit underneath it that isn't disrupted.
I have
You only took
to
one
rally at the
disrupted
end of my turn.
Yeah. Is it at the
Okay.
end of the turn? It's at the start. Before
Oh,
the fire
well,
phase.
I have a card
Oh, do you?
for
Oh,
the
that's
rally.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
Can you play
called
it now?
Rally Target Unit.
Oh, yeah, but
Veteran.
you can't.
If it's in the
that's
rally
in
phase.
the rally phase that you can play that,
Okay.
but
I
that's
don't know
already
what we're
happened.
talking about.
Yeah.
What
No.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, damn.
Yeah, you didn't have anything that needed rallying in the rally phase. You do now.
Oh, wait, does that not fit? Oh, I follow now. Sorry, I just realized it's not my turn, it's the shooting phase. Well, I'll shoot with the one that...
Yeah, the one at the bottom could potentially shoot, though, because it's not disrupted.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll
Or
fire.
it might like to move. Then it would be best not firing in this fire phase.
Is it more advantageous to move instead of fire? Because I'm happy to fire on the...
I think in this case, maybe I'm being too nice again. Maybe not, because then you're gonna, if you're moving, you're gonna be moving towards larger groups of T-34s, and then
I was thinking it makes more sense
taking
just
shots at you with different groups and hope that if I fire enough T-34s at you, you die.
I think I'll just fire on the one that's in the forest, because that one's going to cause problems as my guys come down from the north.
Right, yeah, but basically, like, as with the unit above it, if you disrupt one of my units, it's actually very difficult for me to do anything, because to undisrupt them, I have a 3 in 10 chance. It's not great.
So yes, I'd like to shoot at the ones just below me. The ones near Stepanovo.
Yeah.
The southern ones.
The ones that fired at you, or
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I just roll 1d10 and...
to run through it again, that's a 12 versus 4. So you're on the 8 column. And then, because they're in forest terrain, get a 1 shift to the left. So that would be the 6. Yeah, the 6 column. And other than that, you're in normal range. You might be in short range, actually. Let me just check. Because you're a red band, aren't you? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're in short range. So then you first get... Wait, so that was 8. You first get a 1 column shift right to 10. And then 1 back again for the forest terrain, so you're back at 8.
Okay.
The 1d10 on the 8 column. Yeah.
That's a 3.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt. That's 4 potential hits. So I have to roll 4 3s, which seems unlikely, given the general lack of 3s I've rolled. 1, 2.
Oh no!
Actually,
Half's not too bad.
So basically, both units are disrupted, and that's it, which is a pretty good outcome for me.
Preferable to being destroyed, or at the very least,
precisely,
bracketed.
Everyone's still alive. That's something.
Well, I imagine be a couple of guys didn't make it, but the driver's alive and the guy that can see, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So that unit counts as fired now. Then it's technically back to me to fire if I want.
Yes.
But I don't have any units that can. So I'm gonna skip my fire phase now. If you want to fire with any of your units, you still can.
Can I... Oh shit! Could I maybe fire with the? Oh, I didn't mean to move him. The tiger here
in 01.
01, yeah.
Who are you
down
firing
into
at?
the tree line. The tree
you
line
can.
one.
Yeah, because your max range is 10.
Yeah.
So you definitely can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So you're at long range. So you'll get a 2 shift left. But you can
Okay.
definitely hit him.
Okay.
Then
I'm
that's
gonna.
12 to 4 again is the 8 column, but 2 shift left is the 4 column, and 1 shift left for forest would be the 2 column.
Well, I'll take the chances if I actually.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not actually, because I
Uh,
need to move. I need to move these guys though. I mean, I guess if we're ending after a round or two,
Well,
because
yeah.
it's getting
Well,
late.
like I said, we can see what we do. Then at the end of this turn, we'll save it round. Yeah, save it and finish up, basically, and then we can potentially come back to it later if you want to finish this match or look at playing a different scenario or a different game, whatever.
Okay. Oh, no, definitely. Okay. I don't think I will take the shot because I just remembered if I fire, I can't
Yeah, you
move,
can't
and
move.
he needs to
Yeah.
move because well, both of them do. So I'm gonna not fire on my turn.
Yep. Okay. So that's the end of the fire phase then, and then it goes to the movement phase, in which case I can move all of my units first, and then you can move all of your units that are eligible.
Yes.
To be honest, I'm liking this less now. Like, just start with, I was thinking, oh, I'll move those group 2 units forwards, and then I was assuming you would probably win initiative again and would be coming closer to me, and then in my movement phase I could push forward and try and get in close for a few close shots, but now they're just sort of out of position. So yeah, I think what I'll do is move these forward though. That's 1. No, wait. Too late now. I should have done that differently. I'll move them to there then. This unit. There first. Rolling hills. Does that do anything for me? Yes. Okay, then I'll leave that unit there. And then I potentially have this unit here. Do something crazy with them. Because that one undisrupted unit in Q6, I could potentially move forward 2 and then shoot at you. Still not. Still not short range though, is it? So then it's still on the 0 band and would technically be -2 because of moving and shooting. So I might actually pull them back a bit as well. Again, to there. Fired, so they can't move. Disrupted, can't move. There, they're okay there, they're okay there. Yeah, that's my movement phase.
Okie doke. Now it is for me. Well, I
Now
kind
it's
of
your
have to
movement
move.
phase.
Yeah, I kind of have to move because at this rate, I can't
Yeah.
just keep trying to ping them from a distance. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, I could move 2 and then shoot. No, I couldn't. No, I'll just move my 4. I'm out in the open. You're probably gonna flank me, but we need to take the risk because once I'm in this range, I can actually start hitting things. So that one's there.
Yeah. Okay.
This one's gonna go 1,
I can't hit
2,
that with opportunity fire
3.
with anyone, so you're all right.
I am going to keep this one here, partially to
Yeah.
stop blockages, but also because the city does offer a bit of support, doesn't it? The town gives me a little bit of cover.
Yeah,
if
it
I'm
gives
remembering
you, I
correctly.
think, 1 shift. Yeah, a 1 shift for armor.
And I can't move the disrupted one, but I can move the not disrupted one, can't I?
The non-disrupted one fired, so they can't move either. They fired during the fire.
Oh, okay. I'll mark them with.
So
fire,
yeah,
sorry.
basically both both of the units in that stack are sort of they're there.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's
yeah.
me done with my movement.
That's the movement phase then. And then close assaults, there won't be any yet. We're not that close together. Housekeeping, you can get rid of all the movement and fires. Housekeeping.
Oh, I think I moved. Oh, I think I unmoved you as well, actually. Sorry about that.
Oh no, I clicked unmoved and it just gets rid of everything. That top right one, if you click it, it's just basically housekeeping. It gets rid of all of the move tokens in one go, and then you can take off the fire token on that one unit in M5 that you fired with.
Okay.
And then aid and focus. You're at max aid and focus, so the most you can do is you could move it up to 3 hexes, or you could take it off the board, but then it reverts to the opposite side, I think. Oh no, it doesn't actually, I don't think. So you could take it off the board to potentially then, in the end of next turn, in the aid and focus phase, put it somewhere else that's out of that 3 hex movement range.
Yeah. Well,
But you could also just leave it there.
Card which will help with the disrupt.
Gonna move mine.
Yeah, I think I might just leave it there
first.
if that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And then it's advanced turn. So now we're on turn 4, and I think that's where we'll stop it for today. I will save it.
Okay.
There's Battle of Kursk turn 4. Then we'll see what we do with it in the future. If you want to keep playing this scenario until we've finished it, if you want to play a different one or anything else. But I like the idea of using Vassal to play the odd Hex and Counter war game every now and then. It's also fun because you can play the big strategic or operational ones as well, because you can save it and just, it's there. Rather than having to have a map set up that my wife gets annoyed at eventually because it takes up most of the table. And, you need the table at some point for something other than Hex and Counter war games. Anyway, thank you, Nai, for playing this with me.
Oh no, thank you. This was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Got any more? We could probably.
I do have
some more fun facts. Before
okay, fun fact. So everyone talks about the armor of Kursk, and there's 2 kind of stories that I know. So the first one's rather quick. The Panther. So a lot of people talk about the Panther like it was the first modern tank, but the reality is it was made to kill Soviet armor, but because of the situation it came into in 1943, it kind of ended up being used for a lot of things. So defense, attack, breakthrough, like holding positions, all this kind of stuff. So while it was, obviously it's a big debate amongst both nerds and historians whether it was a good or bad tank, which I'm not going to weigh into because I don't really care. I think that is the perception that some people have, where it's like, oh, it could do anything. It's like, no, it was forced to do anything. Rather than
yeah.
Whether or not it did anything well is a different matter.
And to be honest, suffered the same kind of problems in maintenance as the Tiger, in that you needed an extra tank in spare parts, which is never good.
But the other one is the Elephant. I like the story of the Elephant because it is just the epitome of why do you keep doing this? So, before the Tiger was made, there was a competition, as a lot of military contracts work, and two companies went for Henschel and Porsche. And Porsche, if you're not familiar, the Porsche Tiger is remembered as not being very good, like really not good. I don't know. I'm not a good mechanic, so I'm not going to make an arse of myself and talk about the mechanics of it. But basically, it couldn't run, its engine couldn't run on the weight that was put on it. Hence why I had to make breakdowns. And history didn't go for the Porsche. It went for the Henschel design, and that's how the Tiger 1 was made. The problem was that Porsche was so certain this design was going to work, he made like 100 odd chassis, or like 90 odd. Now, at this point, you'd think, oh, you just scrap them. Like, it's a bit of a waste of investment, but I guess you just like scrap it. No, they made the Elephant. They stick a big fuck off gun in it and said, go, kill tanks. But obviously, if it wasn't able to move on its own power without all these modifications, it wasn't going to end it. And that's how the Elephant gets its infamous reputation of not being able to go up slight inclines, because it wasn't designed for that. And while this is a little bit ahead of it, when Kursk went tits up and they took back their vehicles and stuff, again, you would say, okay, the Elephant was a bad idea. Refit them, take them apart, do something with them. No, we're going to make this work. We're going to fix it. And that's how you get the... Oh, no, was it? No, it's the other way around. The Ferdinand was the one at Kursk, and then they refitted it to the Elephant.
Refitted it to the Elephant,
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault for mixing two up.
That's all right.
But it kind of like boils down to what the Wehrmacht in a lot of situations do. They just refuse to like give up on these pet projects. They just insist on like, no, this has to work.
The weird thing is about it, and definitely in the case of those sort of super heavy tanks and super heavy tank hunter style tanks, is it's so like, it's basically the opposite of what they're claiming their doctrine is and what they were good at to start with. Like, there's no need for this tank that is very, very big and powerful, but also super slow, because that doesn't play into the Wehrmacht's strengths of flexibility, basically. But there you go.
That's my story. And again, I just think it's very humorous, because you're just like, why? Just let go. Just scrap it.
Pet projects seem to be.
Yeah. But yes, but thank you again for letting me be on this. I had a lot of fun. I like the history, facts.
Thank you for joining me. It was quite fun. At home with my physical setups, I don't really have a lot of opportunity to have actual opponents, especially at the moment.
Of course,
I think I've got pretty much one friend who occasionally plays it with me, who lives in the area, but otherwise, a lot of Hex and Counter board gaming. It's not really that common as well in Europe. There seems to be a bit of an influx of a few new companies in Europe actually making it, but that's sort of that goes back to that whole in board gaming, there's Euro games versus the American style wargaming. Whereas wargaming sort of fell out of favor, other than miniature wargaming. The actual cardboard Hex and Counter wargaming fell out of favor in Europe post-war, pretty much. but there's a few new companies because I have another one that you might be interested in playing at some point.
Ooh,
But
okay.
it's a bit earlier. At the
1497.
no, it's
too early,
it's
too early.
it's still second World War, but
Okay, interesting.
1942. It's called Across the Bug River.
Okay,
And
interesting.
so it's sort of that is set in Barbarossa era.
Yeah.
Invasion,
And,
you know.
again, we should probably end up because then I'll start going on about 42. They could have turned it around. No, they couldn't. They really couldn't. Yeah, because that's
Kind of
Foul
think
Blue
there's-
and stuff.
Yeah.
Blah.
But it's probably I'll check
And
the
like
date on it.
Rommel's push in North
Yeah.
Africa
Indeed.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the whole things. Like Rommel claiming, like, if I had 2 divisions more, I could have taken it. But if you read, I think it's Crucible of War by. I'm gonna look it up now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Because I just want to.
Is the stream still
names
going? Or
Yeah, the stream's still going.
Oh, okay.
We're just
Well, I guess we'll
talking
just chat
facts
about
now.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Crucible of War by if I can find my actual thingy.
The reason
It's a good. Well, it's a series, 3 books basically, about the North Africa campaign, and maybe it'd be easier if I just opened the internet and typed it in, as I have a computer on. But
I think the reason why. Oh, sorry.
To go back to is it Crucible? I'm getting the whole name wrong now, I think. Yeah, Crucible of War by who's it by? I can't remember. Barry Pitt, apparently, and it goes through Wavel's command onwards. But that points out that basically, both sides were having the severe problems that no one really wanted to throw anything, or neither side's command wanted to throw anything into the North Africa campaign.
When you
so
look...
the idea that if I'd have had 2 divisions more, well, basically the Commonwealth forces there could say the same thing. Like, if they'd have been given the materials that they wanted and requested, okay, they could probably have won it quicker as well. But
it gets into this whole issue where, like, when you actually look into the doctrine, they really had, at least the Nazi regime had really not a lot of interest in Africa. Like, they had the interest that every colonial power did. Africa made money, so we want it. But a lot of people, when you look into it, their doctrine is just, well, if we're being frank, it's just just like, we would like it, but we don't really want to work for it.
The thing was, in the long term, they were like, then it will link up to the oil fields towards Russia and stuff. But the whole point was, but we're going to take those through Russia anyway, so then it will just nicely link up.
That is exactly
the
it.
focus wasn't in North Africa because they presumed they were going to win in Russia. Well, in the Soviet Union.
No, but that's kind of like my point, where it's like, if you're talking like you do best case scenario, they probably, like, even if you had like, I pushed all the way to Cairo, I took the Suez, the German command would have gone, that's great.
Yeah,
just
sit
there, and we're dealing with Russia, and it's not going well. It's not, because it doesn't fundamentally change that aspect to the war. If anything, it probably helps Japan, I would imagine. If the Suez is severed, I would probably more than Germans. I would not, because it's all about the war in the East. But yes, I will digress.
Yeah. So, maybe join us next time when we give you more facts and play a little bit of wargame in between, which seemed to work out nicely. I think everyone was fairly entertained, as were we ourselves. Thank you again, Nye, for joining me and for doing such a good job. Although I'm not that pessimistic about it, looking at the map.
Yeah, I think you've got a good chance. Yeah, definitely.
But we'll have a look and see if we're going to continue on with this scenario. If we want to try and play a different one in the future or something else entirely, we'll see. But obviously, I'll let you know what the schedule becomes in the future. Thank you for joining us here at So Much Game. And Nye, do you want to add anything before I sign off?
No, I would say, if you want to see Lewis do more of this stuff, that whole like, comment, subscribe thing, it would be a really nice thing to do. And the Twitch, just, like if this is your jam, just, join in. And if it's not, then I'm questioning why you're still here. Like, you just listened to two nerds talk about history
for 3.5 hours.
I know. What the fuck? Why are you? Unless you're one of those weird people that went right to the end to check if we.
Now I want to know what happened. Or they're taking notes to eviscerate our knowledge of history. That's always a possibility as well.
I will fully accept it.
Yeah. But thank you to everyone who joined us on the Twitch chat as well, because we had some nice interaction there this evening, which is fun as well. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I will leave you with from So Much Game. Stay safe and stay gaming. Good night.